This is going to be super niche. Call it radical honesty, if you will. But I like to think about the uncomfortability of life. About the things that most people wish you wouldn't dwell on, but you end up doing anyway. There is a special internet show that hits just a little bit too close to home for me, to the point where whenever I watch it, it either turns me into a blubbering mess as I think about myself and my problems, or it makes me deeply contemplate things for a while. Either way, it kills 3 hours, you know? Death, the social constructs of dating, do you have inherent worth as a person, depression? These are just a few of the many topics covered in PeopleWatching, an internet show created by Subnormality and released on the Cracked YouTube channel back in 2017. And sure, I'll be the first to admit that not all of the episodes land, as a few of them stumble their way through their premise and kind of get a little bit lost in what they're trying to say, but the ones that do land hurt. And I'm not just talking about a Pixar, "Aw, that's sad" kind of a hurt, but a deep-cutting, self-reevaluating, I need to re-examine myself and how I look at others kind of hurt. PeopleWatching follows a diverse cast of characters in a nonlinear fashion as they make their way through life. The cast includes everybody from a successful writer who has won many awards, but has to live in an apartment above a rundown comedy club and can't even pay the bills half the time because, well, he's not successful, to a stripper who genuinely enjoys her job. They're all exaggerated versions of stereotypes of life, and chances are you'll relate to at least one of them. The show balances difficult to approach topics that have been mishandled by so many other shows with a dexterity not often seen. It prides itself on being a piece of social commentary, which already puts it on a knife's edge. And sure, there's times when taken at face value, the writing can come off as vapid or pretentious, but oftentimes that's kind of the point. You see, the show likes to exemplify how people can easily slip into the very thing that they despise and become that, and they show that a lot of the times through the writing. I wanted to talk about this show not really in a critique light, like, this show is an 8 out of 10, but more so talk about it in appreciation for going out there and creating a piece of art that I continually come back to. One that challenges my very way of thinking and how I view myself and the world at large. So naturally, as would make for a good YouTube video, let's look at 3 episodes that really resonate with me, and we can look at why they do that and explore what makes them so good. Sounds good? Alright, let's talk then. Episode 1, Speed Dating. The pilot episode is one that exemplifies a lot of the show's goals, stuffing as many ideas and information in as short amount of time as possible, and in the end, making an unsatisfying ending to make the audience slightly uncomfortable to leave them with a lot of unanswered questions. Basically, the episode comes down to the idea of using radical honesty when it comes to the idea of speed dating, to speed up the process of trying to find out whether you click with someone or not. And in the end, maybe you are just in the right place at the wrong time to find the person that you might truly connect with. Can I just say, the concept of doing a speed dating scenario episode as your pilot is just genius. It allows you to rapid fire introduce most of your characters, and you're able to focus down on 2 in particular characters to drive the story of the episode forward. The 2 characters in question are Joan, also known as Candy, and Jeremy, both of which are trying this honesty-forward approach to dating. As time wears on, we, the audience, grow more and more invested in seeing them end up together, as what they are saying to other people lines up with each other's values. That is until the end of the episode, when we see that they went to the event just one day apart and ended up passing by each other, and the jaw drops. It leaves us with that all too familiar feeling of emptiness that I'm sure all of us have felt at one point in our dating experiences. That feeling of being out of place, of being at the right place at the wrong time, adding to the scrapbook of people that we could have clicked with if only the timing was different. On top of that, the 2 main characters present some interesting ideas on challenging societal norms. while mostly unformed at this point in the story and kind of end up coming across more as just basic statements of the world and its problems at large, there are some interesting nuggets to pick out there about self-confidence, being who you are, challenging the norm, and overall, it's a great episode. It's one that's all about forcing the watcher to look inwards at themselves. I do want to add on that Joan and Jeremy do end up meeting and dating in a later episode. But as is a common theme with the show, it comes with a heartbreaking twist. When Joan realizes that she's become the judgmental bigot that judges people based on the first lines that they put in the book of their life, she drives Jeremy away. When you see it unfold in real time and watch the expressions on the characters' faces, it's haunting. Episode 3, Dating with Depression. This episode hit me hard, and still does. Tackling the complicated nature of what it's like to date somebody with depression, and not only the hell it wreaks on the individual with depression, but on the person outside that just wants to be there with them. It also offers a great visual metaphor of depression as a person that continuously sneaks back into your life and has a conversation with you about all of your negative aspects. And before you realize it, you've spiraled for weeks out of control, and the people that you were trying to get close to have given up on you and moved on. The ending of this episode still chills me when I think about it, and will probably still make me cry even on the 5th or 6th watch through. Personally, I've been on both sides of this. It's clear that whoever wrote this episode is writing from experience. It's dark. It's dark because it's a dark, complicated thing that has no right answer or a booklet on how to overcome it. And I think this episode shows it very, very well. It's a raw, unfiltered look into people just trying to do their best to form connections, ultimately failing due to things largely outside of their control. Even though it only ran for 2 seasons, there's so many episodes to choose from that really had a big impact on me. But in saying that, I knew I couldn't leave the next episode out. Season 2, Episode 9, Love. Or as I know it, The Suicide Apartment. This one, as with much of the show in general, might be triggering to people with past traumas. And chances are, if you're watching this video, you're probably carrying something with you. If you are sensitive to the topic of suicide, then please proceed with caution, but it might be something that you need to hear. This episode starts out with the cast of characters trying to roommate up with an interesting girl. Or maybe she's the landlord and they're trying to get permission from her and get the keys from her. It's really not clear. Anyway, it's the perfect apartment. With a catch. They must convince the girl that they are the loneliest person on Earth. What follows is an amusing tirade with some of the best jokes in the show.
Listen to me very carefully. This is a work order from the city. Next Tuesday at 7 a.m., they are sending a pothole crew to pave over my genitals.
As all of them are explaining why they are pathetic, that they've given up, how they've all fucked up in one way or another. For most, it's in relationships. How the universe gave them a chance and they fucked it, so now they have to live on with the memories of their failures and the fact that they will most likely die alone, buried in a mausoleum of their empty depression wine bottles and breakfast ice cream tubs. This episode culminates in the girl of the apartment telling them that, hey, they win. You can have the keys because you are incapable of normality, incapable of love, and can't love anything, so you win. The cast is taken aback, and they all get defensive. And one by one, they find their reasons as to why they can love. In fact, for some, they find out the reason why they're so miserable is the enormous capacity for love they possess. The hope that one day they will find someone with the same capacity for love is a driving force as to why they still try. They each individually find their own reasons to keep living and looking, ultimately rejecting the keys to the apartment. There's a lot of different interpretations on this one, but for me and how I interpret it, I see the girl in the apartment as a representation of death, and the keys to the apartment is suicide. It's a perfect, idyllic place on the outside that calls to you. You try to convince yourself that it's perfect. You are the perfect fit for it because you've given up. It's not that you want to die. You're fine. You're just tired. You just are seeking relief. But as you dig deeper into it and deeper into yourself, you find that maybe it's best to move past it. The connections you've made and the impact on people that are outside of your vision or you haven't even met yet is so immense that you can't even comprehend it. You are worth more than the inherent failure that you feel like you are. This idea of the episode being a metaphor is reinforced by one of the characters who says if he really did have the whole world watching him, he would want to spend the time taking away others' pain, preventing others from feeling the same pain as him, giving statistics on suicide rates, and encouragement for those having dark moments in their lives. It catches you off guard, and it hits you hard. It's a great example of a bait and switch style storytelling that the show does so well. I think one of the things I love so much about people watching is how well handled every topic is. It's very heavy-handed in its messaging, but it never feels like you're being preached to. You are watching broken people experience brokenness, and there's something very raw and beautiful about that. Another thing that I think pulls the show together is the simple scoring in the background that highlights the important moments but fades out at just the right time. It's brilliant. Not to mention how delicately poised the writing and premise of the show is. Because you expect one thing from funny haha comedy show where the characters are oversimplified, exaggerated stereotypes of all walks of life, and the animation of them looks like those little paper puppets where only the joints can move in wide swinging arcs. Only to realize that you relate way too much with these characters and what they are saying. Not only that, but the situations they are going through, and you look at yourself and you realize that maybe even though you feel like a lonely secret loser that pushes everyone away from you, even though you were the one that walked away from manipulative situations, you still somehow feel guilt for being lonely because, hey, you chose to be lonely, and some part of you still feels like maybe you do deserve the abuse that you went through because maybe you learned a lesson from it to actually do something with your life and take action and learn how to communicate with people. Then you stumble across a random internet show. One that says maybe there's an explainable reason as to why you feel that way, or to why things happen the way they did. And just because you chose to walk away from the people that mistreated you doesn't mean that you are alone. Maybe there's others out there that feel exactly like you, and you find comfort in that. Not that other people are suffering, but maybe the fact that you aren't as crazy as you thought you were. It's a nice thing to know, you know? Which is way more than I was expecting to get out of a YouTube animated comedy show made for pretentious hipsters. Godspeed. I hope you find what you're looking for. Hi guys. As always, if you want to get to know me a little bit better, there will be a link down below to live streaming channel where I do live streams. And yeah, that's about all I got for you guys. Take care out there.